how to be good wives. One part of this, of saving yourselves and your families from desire that's real and not symbolic, is to keep them away from those influences that are going to corrupt them and eventually send them to the Jahannam, the hellfire. One of them is to keep them away from these shows that you see on television. Some of these shows like Doogie Howser and the Good Times, the Wonder Years, whatever they call it, looking at Martin, having your teenagers, male and female, looking at Martin. What's up? What kind of stuff is that? What kind of stuff is that to be looking at? And you should start preparing them before they're teenagers, not to look at, don't let them look at these cartoons. Have you noticed the way some of these, not some of the teenagers now, the ones who are before teenage age, 8 and 9 and 10, yarhamakallah. Have you seen these cartoons now? The form and the shape of the female characters in the cartoons, have you seen them? The breasts are sticking out, the hips are real shapely. Popeye still ain't got married to Oliver yet. And I know Mickey ain't married to Minnie. Mickey Mouse, that is. M-I-C, y'all remember that? They're shacking. Really, wallahi. Look at the situation. They're shacking up. And we say, be a good boy, be a good girl, and go look at TV. So looking at TV is being good. Use the TV as a babysitter. And the commercials, wallahi al-azim. These commercials, these gene commercials, subhanAllah, and some of these other commercials, pure sex. And then when they become teenagers, they know more. We're talking about, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu qu anfusakum ahlikum nara. Ahlikum nara. Save yourselves and your family from a fire. Brothers and sisters, when you look at some of these videos, I happened to be flipping the television one day and I saw this guy, Luke. You know what I'm talking about. This guy, Luke. He used to be with this group called True Live Crew. I happened to be flipping the television one time. The box. I don't know if you get it down here. Called the box video. And I saw this video called I Wanna Rock. SubhanAllah, haram, haram, haram. It's not funny. It's just see what they were doing. Women were naked, as the Prophet ﷺ said, that in the end of this time, women will be ariyat kasiyat. Or kasiyat and ariyat. Clothed but naked. I mean, shaking everything. And you allow your children free access to the remote control? Subhanallah. Subhanallah. What are we teaching them? What are we allowing them to be educated by? Take a survey with the teenagers today. Ask them, who are the 10 people that the Prophet ﷺ promised, told they were going to Jannah? Some of the adults probably don't even know this, let alone the teenagers. Ask the average teenage child in Islam today in the United States. Give me 2 of the people whom the Prophet named in that hadith are in Jannah. Al-Ashrat Mubashirun, those who were given the glad tidings of Jannah. But I guarantee you, they can tell you what's the top 10 hits with Kool Modi, Death Effects, and Hammer. I guarantee you. Or who are the top 10 heavyweight champions in the WFC, or World Wrestling Federation, whatever they call it. But they can't tell you who are 10 prophets in order or out of order. And whose people did they go to? And what was the name of their revelation? Sad situation. And we're going to be responsible for these young men and women who are in an overwhelming rate, astronomical rate, are becoming pregnant. And incidentally, we shouldn't harp on the sisters keeping their virginity, brothers and parents. We shouldn't put so much pressure. What I mean by that is we shouldn't harp on and badger and keep saying we want our girls to be virgins and neglect the boys. You should be encouraging these young boys to be virgins too. Not just the girls, the boys too. Virginity is for boys and girls, believe it or not. We should be very careful what the teenagers are getting in their minds. And I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He increases us with the zeal and the desire to get our children out of these ding-dong schools called public school systems. It's a very dangerous cesspool. These high schools are dangerous. And we expect them, and even not expect them, we reprimand them when they come home with these concepts. And you're the ones that sent them there. And here is a pagan woman. Here is a pagan woman named Clara Muhammad, who refused to send her children to the public school. When the FBI came to her house, she said, I'm not sending my children to you devils. A pagan woman. And here we are on the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, sending our children to public school. I can't understand it. I can't understand it. She was closer to the Sunnah than us. You know what's going on in these schools. Maybe not in Baltimore, but I know in Brooklyn, New York, just a few years ago, they confiscated 16 handguns, automatic weapons from elementary school children. Elementary school children, ages 9 and 10. 12-year-old boy the other day in Manhattan, one of the schools, PS something. 12 years old, they took a Tech 9 from him. Sisters may not know, a Tech 9, brother. You know what a Tech 9 is? SubhanAllah, 12 years old. And then now they have this rainbow curriculum. And you expect your teenagers to come out with a qalbun salim, with a pure heart and a good character? We're going to be responsible. So in my conclusion, brothers and sisters, we should be more considerate to this age, the age of teenager. We should try our best to make ourselves not seem like we're so over our teenage boys and girls. Speak to them, not down at them. Make them feel comfortable. I was invited by some young teenagers at these Muslim Youth of North America conferences around the country and also in Canada to speak. In every single case, after the lecture, the young brothers and sisters, mainly the sisters, would come to me, teenagers, and want to talk to me because they said one thing. All of them said the same thing. They said, Brother Dawud, you seem like you're pretty down to earth, and we can't talk to our parents. You know how sad that is? We can't talk to our parents, so we'd rather talk to you. They don't understand us. They don't understand them. Why don't we understand them? We used to be them. As I said earlier, it seems like we've forgotten what it is to be a teenager. We need to let them be companions of us. You brothers that are teenage boys, young men, make them your sahabi. Take them out with you. Don't hang out with the brothers so much, and if you do, take your young brother, your young son with you. What's wrong with that? How do you think Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Umar ibn al-Khattab's son Abdullah and the other young Muslims of that time learned so much about Islam? You think they learned about it by staying at home? They learned about it by close association to the adults and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is a clear indication on what type of attitude and comportment we should have with the teenagers, and the same thing should go with the young sisters. You should be skillful enough, sisters, to have a relationship with your daughter that you are her mother, but at the same time you her friend. She should be able to confide in you and come to you with her problems, and you not look down at her or yell at her or scream at her when just a few days ago you were her. You should also, my suggestion, not commanding you, as advice, allow the teenagers to put on events like this one. Let them run the camera. Let them pay for the speaker to come here. Let them take care of the food. Let them run the whole thing. Train them how to run it. Teach the young brothers how to do a khutbah when they reach 13 or 14 or 15. These are important things for leadership in Islam. It starts with the teenagers. You sit back a little while now. I see most of the times in the masjid, the sisters who are cooking are always the adults. Get those young teenage sisters and keep them from standing out in the hallways and sitting on the chairs talking about these young boys that you don't think they're talking about. and give them some jobs. Let them run the whole show. This speech I did in Winnipeg, Canada, the teenagers there, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old, paid for my plane fare out of their own money, paid for my hotel out of their own money. They dealt with the camera, the whole camera equipment, the audio equipment. They cooked the food, did the whole transportation bit for me throughout the city of Manitoba, or Winnipeg. Not one adult was involved, not one. 5 days I spoke, 5 full days, over 85 hours of tape, and it was all done by the teenagers. So in my conclusion, brothers and sisters, please remember this age called teenagers. Please remember it. Though some of the values have changed, Shaitan has not. Though some of the mores have changed, Shaitan has not. Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, remember that our open enemy is Shaitan, and remember this delicate age between 13 and 19. Try your best with all of your level best to train them as much as you can in the Islamic values. Allow them and support them in getting married if they're ready. Don't tell them you're not ready. In most cases, you do know they're not ready. And I'm telling you, young brothers, in most cases, you're not ready. But talk to them at least about it. And encourage them to get a good education in Islam first. And even if you do send them to college, which I believe it's haram to send them away, especially the sisters, not the brothers, but the sisters, I believe personally it's haram, based on my understanding of Quran and Sunnah, to send your daughter away to college. And if you do allow them to go to college locally, make sure that they have a good foundation of the understanding of Islam before you go, because wallahi, they will be corrupted when they come out. They may not even reach the sophomore year, and they'll be corrupted with these humanistic thoughts, these Machiavellian concepts, these concepts from Freud, etc. So with that, inshallah, we'll end the questions and answers. And hopefully Allah will increase our love for Him and increase our love and zeal to follow the Prophet and treat our teenagers the way they should be treated, as young men and women, not babies. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. The first question is it vain for teenage Muslim sisters to talk vain in the masjid? If you mean vain conversation, it is at least makruh, highly undesirable for anyone, adult or teenagers, to talk vain conversation in the masjid. The masjids are the houses of Allah, and we should not be talking about anything in the masjid. We should be talking about the remembrance of Allah, and we should be remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah knows best. This is the only one that was brought up.
When the sisters have a pad going around, if you have a question, you can write it down, and then we can get it up. Give it to Brother Mustafa Alif, and he can bring it up right away. For the brothers, if you have a question, just raise your hand, and we can deal with that one right away. Any of the brothers? Yes, sir.
The different kind of hairstyles the brothers have, what is it said about that? The fades the brothers have and the different dreadlocks and stuff like that.
I don't know if it's directly related to teenagers in Islam, because it's not the teenagers who do it, sometimes the adults doing it. But to answer the question, to the best of my ability, the fade haircut would be at least makruh, at least. If it's completely shaven, where there's hair on the top or on the sides, vice versa, and no hair on the top, vice versa on the bottom, then it would be at least makruh or haram, some say, because this is called qada'. Qada', when the Prophet saw a young man like this, he said to him, let him either cut it all off, shave it all off, or let it all grow. So the fade haircut would be at least 2. From that point,